Hello and welcome to Blended Agendas. Before I get started, please click on that subscribe button below and give this video a thumbs up. All you need is an email address to do so. Today's topic is, what is so controversial about Dave Chappelle's comedy special Sticks and Stones? It should have been called Reflections. He is giving you something to laugh at, but they are still real issues. I hope the same people who are offended by his jokes are also offended by the rhetoric that spews from the President of the United States. Chappelle is capturing those who have been victimized and discriminated against. He draws comparisons between Anthony Bourdain, an American celebrity chef who traveled around the world showcasing different cultures, cuisines, and human conditions. He seemed to have a perfect life. He spoke of his intellectually gifted friend he went to school with, who received scholarships at Ivy League schools, then to law school, and ended up living with his mother at the age of 45, works at Foot Locker as a store clerk. Bourdain seemed to have a perfect life, committed suicide. Chappelle's friends finds that life is still worthwhile. It's how an individual internalize their emotions. He brings in focus on how historically biased and cognitive white Americans thought they could be insulated from drug problems that have ravaged the communities where many minorities live. Chappelle joked about the crack epidemic that severely impacted low-income neighborhoods during the late 1980s through 1990 that resulted in children being placed in foster care, crack-addicted babies, homicides for young black males doubled, 88% of imprisonments from crack cocaine were black Americans. It was viewed as an epidemic. Now, there is an opioid crisis that has invaded not only inner city communities, it has invaded white America. A public health emergency has been declared. There is access to prevention, treatment, and recovery services. This was not available during the crack epidemic. The majority of crack imprisonments were placed in the 10 to 20 year range, while the imprisonments related to heroin use or possession ranges from 5 to 10 years. Chappelle spoke of equal rights, a woman's right to abortion. I must say that I agree. If a woman decides to keep a baby, just like her rights for an abortion, without the consent of anyone, she should be prepared to raise the child by herself. He spoke of the Me Too movement that had actually been around since 2006 and was started by Tarana Burke, a social activist and community organizer that promoted empowerment among those who were sexually assaulted and abused, and how it feels as though it's losing control. He feels as though it's losing control. I agree somewhat. Being sexually assaulted is a very serious thing mentally and physically. Always report the assault for yourself and for the next would-be victim. Don't Hollywood the moment. Don't Hollywood the movement. I believe a small percentage of women in the entertainment industry were assaulted, but used it to their advantage to further their career or the possibility of furthering their career. You were a victim, but a willing victim. If you were assaulted by an individual in a powerful position, report this behavior. Don't report it 20 years later when your career is in a stalemate. Never compromise yourself or your values to get ahead, because later you'll feel regret, sorrow, and remorse. Chappelle spoke of derogatory names that are socially acceptable. He was told he could not use the word faggot for gay men because it was offensive, but he could freely use the word nigger. He made jokes about the LGBTQ community having disagreements within their own community about each other. I agree with his stance on the contentious issue of transgender females athletes having an advantage over biological females. Chappelle was holding up a mirror for everyone to see the reflection. You have been desensitized to other needs and despair until it happens to you. You are conditioned and taught with systemic bias and implication for care of those you deem unfit. He started off quoting the lyrics from Prince's song 1999. I was dreaming when I wrote this. Forgive me if it goes astray. Because when I woke up this morning, I could have sworn it was Judgment Day. So many of us listen just to respond without critical thinking. We all should live free from oppression, discrimination, irrespective of ethnicity or gender identity. Thank you for listening to Blended Agendas. Please like, comment, and subscribe.